We have an adopted son.
Okay. How old is your adopted son?
He's 16.
Okay.
And I've been taking care of him by myself for probably the last 6 years.
Today, we're diving into the case of Martha Sanchez, who has been fighting for child support from her husband, a man who has avoided his responsibilities for 6 years.
And because I couldn't have children, and so Mr. Sanchez thought that we should adopt.
Seriously? This man chose to adopt a child, yet he refused to help his wife raise him.
Several years ago, he also decided that he should have a secretarial person in his life, so to speak.
What do you mean by that?
He had an affair with his secretary.
Oh, okay.
And so I was left to raise our son by myself.
His careless attitude makes it seem like he thought adoption was just some kind of subscription he could cancel anytime.
That you're raising him by yourself, he's not giving you any type of support?
No.
Do you know if he has any money?
I know he does. I know that his parents just recently passed away, and they had a big farm, and they had a lot of land, and they had a bunch of cows, and so I know they're worth something, and he's always had a steady job.
The problem isn't money, it's the fact that he lacks basic human decency.
Worked for the government forever, and he doesn't think that he should have to pay me any child support because he said it's not his biological child. And
wait a minute, real quick. You understand that an adopted child is your legal responsibility, right?
Absolutely, and I never said I don't take care of him.
Well, now he's trying to use the not my blood excuse, even though he willingly signed the adoption papers.
To take care of my child,
Okay.
even though he is adopted.
Okay. Well, even though the adoption part has nothing to do with it. And from now on, don't call him adoptive son, okay? He's your son.
That's correct.
Legally adopted, your son.
That's correct.
He thought he could outsmart the court with a technicality, but the judge quickly shut that down with a dose of harsh reality.
So you said his parents are deceased.
his parents died about a year ago, and he inherited a lot of land that's worth probably close to $200,000.
Okay.
And there's some cattle being run on there.
200,000. And you say he worked for the government?
He does. He works for the government, Your Honor.
With all that inherited wealth, he still couldn't spare a single dime for his own child.
You work for the government currently, and you inherited some land, and you have cattle on that land, and you have not paid her any money for your son?
I inherited 10 acres. That's it. I've got 600
That's
cattle.
it? Do you know how many acres 10 acres is?
Did he really try the I'm broke defense while owning a massive piece of land? If stupidity were a crop, he'd be the richest farmer out there.
Okay.
Well, it's
You
not
have 10
in the
acres. How much?
City of wherever.
Is it accurate what she said that these acres are worth almost $200,000?
160,000.
Okay, that's close to you know
Well,
what?
that's $40,000 less.
It may be, but it's still worth close to $200,000, which is what she said.
The judge wasn't having his nonsense math lesson. Arguing over 6 figures while his son struggles to get basic child support is peak deadbeat logic.
The cattle. Okay, so to combine, that's $200,000.
Well, it sounds like it.
So you have assets and worth in excess of $200,000, and you don't want to give this woman anything for your son?
I'll give her something.
Excuse me? You'll give her something?
He pushed the judge too far. He thought he was being generous, but instead, he walked away with a court-ordered payment.
I'm a caseworker.
Okay.
You make very little money as a case. You do cases all the time.
Sir.
I'm a caseworker. I deal with this all the time.
Okay.
No one was falling for his sob story. If caseworkers make so little, then why was he bragging about his inheritance? Absolutely ridiculous.
This isn't fair.
How much do you make as a caseworker? No, what's not fair is the fact that you have not given her any money, and you have assets worth $200,000, and you work an everyday job. How much money are you making on your job every day?
40, 50,000, that's it.
40, 50,000. You know what, sir? You came here to waste my time.
Unfair? What's truly unfair is your son growing up with a father who treats basic responsibility like a personal attack.
That is ridiculous. You're making a lot of money, and you haven't given her anything.
I take care of the child. He comes to the farm. I teach him things about how to work the land. I mean, I've spent so much time with that child.
So he really thought teaching his kid to feed the cows could replace actual financial support. That's some serious nonsense.
You have so much money when you add together what you make yearly along with your assets. What I can do is take a reasonable amount of that and calculate your child support, okay?
Reasonable amount.
Reasonable.
Okay.
I said, that's what I said.
What do you consider reasonable?
I thought I was the judge in asking the questions.
Well,
This guy had some serious audacity to act like a victim after completely dodging his responsibilities.
Your Honor, our son is 16 and he is playing football in school, and he has all these expenses, and I have asked Mr. Sanchez to please give us some money to buy the uniforms and for all these other expenses, and he's going to be coming up on graduation and all those expenses.
Now that he finally saw the real cost of raising a teenager, he was probably slumped in his seat, completely shocked.
To give me anything, that's the excuse I get all the time. Well, I take him to the farm, I teach him how to milk the cows, or I teach him how to bale the hay. Well, I'm sorry, but that's not paying for his football uniform.
And I agree with that. It costs money to raise a child.
It's so satisfying to see her call him out on his own nonsense, right in front of the judge.
I have been dealing with this all my life with this woman. I take him out just so I don't have to listen to it.
You know what, sir? That is very uncalled for.
That's all she does, is complain.
After years of making his wife's life miserable, he had the nerve to throw a tantrum in court. He must have thought he was the star of some tragic drama.
You have not been giving her anything for the support of your child.
Okay, I'll support the child. Just leave me alone.
Okay, she's getting ready to leave you alone right now because I'm getting ready to bother you with these numbers, okay?
Judge Vaughn didn't waste a second before hitting him with the full weight of the financial responsibilities he'd be paying for the rest of his life.
What we're going to do is calculate your child support based on, you say you make about $50,000 as a case manager, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we're going to add that with that $40,000 worth of cattle that you have.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so they give you a gross of $90,000.
And there it is, the consequence of dodging responsibilities and leaving his kid and wife to fend for themselves, served up to him cold and hard.
Right.
I have your gross at $7,500, all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Brings your net to $5,834.63.
He tried to ignore his responsibilities, but now his bank account is about to hear them loud and clear.
Who carries health insurance for the child?
I've been paying a private policy for him for the last 6 years since he walked out the door.
You've been paying policy.
Okay.
Where are you getting the money to pay the policy?
Excuse me, sir. You will address me just because
Yes,
my
Your
head
Honor.
is down. Don't cut me off either.
Yes, ma'am.
You wait until I finish.
Yes.
Today could have been the worst day of his life, after living without any responsibility or care for so long.
Is that a month, ma'am?
$130 a month.
$130. Okay. So you're going to reimburse that to her every month. You understand that?
I guess I have no choice, do I?
No, you don't have a choice because I just told you. So,
This man just couldn't stop arguing, digging himself deeper into trouble, while eyes only made it clear that he was only making things worse.
on your child support, I have $1,166.93, plus you're going to reimburse that $130. That brings your child support obligation monthly to $1,296.93.
So,
The judge handed down a decision that was obvious from the start, leaving the man no choice but to share his precious inheritance with his son.
what does that leave me? Income for a year.
Oh, let me check. Let's
That
see.
would be good.
Yeah, you know what? What's good? That $160,000 worth of 10 acres of land, that's what you're left with. Sell it, and then maybe you'll have some money. Any other questions?
Child support and your legal responsibilities, that's what you're stuck with. Try to avoid it, and you'll be facing an even tougher trial next time.
Well, and you go to work every day. So $50,000 plus your $160,000 sounds like you're living a very good life at $210,000 a year. And if there are no further questions, you all are dismissed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Take the other hearing aid out.